John Gidongo likes to call it the biggest business activity in this country is corruption.
Is our elections real? Like real? And real, I mean this. I've always felt like, and perhaps a bit of my conspiracy hat, that it's more about plausibility. Make it look plausible that you could have won, and then now from there, cheza kama wewe.
Never underestimate the fact that power has powerful tools. Power has powerful tools. Imagine, never would have thought in my life that as a president you have an ISO speed you can dangle.
Every other time with Eric. How you guys doing? Got an amazing episode planned out for you today. My resident Freemason is in the building. Of course, that's on a light note. If you've seen him on Coffee Pump, you've seen him on Midnight Coffee Run. Madung, ladies and gentlemen, is here. How you doing, brother?
I'm good.
How's it going, man?
Niko sawa.
Madung is not, I thought, no South Sudanese.
No, but I don't know why everybody thinks I'm South Sudanese. And no.
You're not dark enough.
Yeah, exactly. And not all Luos look the same, you know.
Is Madung a common name, though?
It's not. I'm from Ukwala in Uganda. So we are one very big family within Ukwala itself, within Uganda. So for the Luos in the audience, of course, they'll know that when you get to Gunja, you turn left. And I don't know if you've been to Gunja.
Gunja is inside.
Gunja is right before Busia, but right after, I think after Yala. Yeah, so you just keep going. Kisumu, Maseno, Luanda, after Luanda, Yala, then just beyond that, you'll get to a place called Gunja. Very popular, very vibrant marketplace. The MP of that town center is Opio Wandayus now. Yes, exactly.
How in touch are you with your roots?
How in touch am I with my roots?
Like, would you travel up country?
I go home. Bwana.
How often?
I go home at least once every year.
Okay.
Yeah, I go home once every year. It's very important to go to the village.
Are your parents based there? Or
no, they're based in Nairobi. My grandparents are based in were based in Kuala. Of course, they died quite a number of years back. But we go home. It's good as always. I don't know. There's something about us people from Western and going home. It's just an important thing. I don't know. I like going home. So very relaxing, very grounding. Yeah.
So in case you're wondering, I saw your episodes with Sajid and I was very impressed at your knowledge base in terms of matters, politics. You have quite a wide range of knowledge. I remember you guys did a post-Gen Z.
That was
analysis.
That was.
Did you get any trouble for that? And trouble not in a detention sense, but trouble in a. Did you hear any ramblings from anywhere about some of the things you guys talked about?
I can neither confirm nor deny. That's what I can say.
So basically, yes.
I can neither confirm nor deny. I cannot say, but I can neither say yes nor no.
Are those things that shape how you move?
To some extent, yes, but not necessarily the whole way. I usually tell people it's very important to hide in plain sight. Yeah. It's very important to hide in plain sight. As a country, yes, we still have to some extent some levels of freedoms that should allow people like me to do the work that I do. And yeah, there are a lot of people who are doing very good journalism, a lot of people who are doing very good ethical work within this specific realm of politics and governance and still are able to walk around. It's not a crime, right?
Describe ethical journalism. That's a cute.
I mean, what I mean is basically the kind of journalism that operates in the public interest, yeah? That doesn't seek to extort people, right? And is largely independent, yeah? So I think that people are able to do that here in this country. I mean, you didn't want to do that in Tanzania.
So not your Larry Madawas, basically.
No. Larry is I stand by Larry, kabisa. I think he does amazing journalism, especially when you look at the work that he did in Tanzania.
You don't think
the election was generational, that was generational journalism. That one is one of those pieces of work that will be used to teach, for sure, will be used to teach other journalism students about what this craft means and what it actually takes to do this kind of work. So the kind of danger that you put yourself in when you do it.
Are you speaking to the method or more so the impact?
Zote.
Okay.
Zote. I mean, even that thing of like how they were using satellite imagery to identify mass graves and one, and then two, even just the impact of seeing people online changing their profile pictures to be Larry Madowo because of like what he spoke for them in terms of that. That, I mean, man, that stuff. I mean, I used to teach journalism a few years back. And if I was to think about the kind of things that I would use to teach my students about what they should be thinking about when it comes to doing their journalism, that piece of work was just A1, like top notch. If you think like cheese, blue cheese, top shelf shit, yeah. And that was it. I think that was super.
Don't you think the backdrop affects that being like CNN, for example, affects isn't there an angle there?
For sure. I mean, I agree. There is, but which journalism doesn't have an angle, right?
So is that a good thing?
It depends on the masters that you serve, right? It's an American outlet. Mm-hmm. They have their purpose in terms of the kind of interest that they serve and the powers that be that work with them. But when we look at the facts of the matter, were thousands of Tanzanians killed? Yes.
Is that been verified?
Yes. I mean, I can say that I belong to certain organizations that have done verifications of these counts. Yeah. And like thousands of people were killed. And shot. I mean, you saw the videos. Like it's not like,
to be fair,
debatable, it's like these are actual things. Actually, one of the things that people don't realize is how hard it was to do that kind of verification, to release that kind of reporting, because first of all, you have to realize that a lot of journalists on the days towards the Tanzanian election were not being given accreditation by the government, right? So people could not get into Tanzania if you had accreditation to be a journalist who wanted to cover the elections, because you need certain types of access. You need to be able to access the briefing rooms. You need to be able to access polling stations safely. You need to be able to access PPE in case shit goes down and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah? But people were not able to get into the country. Yeah, the accreditation was being refused. Now, the latter effect of that was that when the violence first broke out, day one, it was very easy to be able to understand, like, okay, this is what is going on in the country, right? Especially like post the internet shutdown. But then now day two is when now things start getting heavier, because you don't know if the clip you were sent is fake or if AI. It was for yesterday, or if it was AI. Agreed, kabisa. Or if it was AI, like you don't know, because the day one you could be able to be like, at least we know that's the first wave of content to come out. But in the subsequent days, it became an absolute nightmare.
Are you saying Suluhu didn't win by 95% plus? Are you insinuating
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the clips that came out. Of course. I mean, probably she won by 95%, but did she need to force herself to push? Like, she was going to win anyway. And that's the key thing everyone asks about the situation that happened, yeah? Which is that you didn't need to do that.
You already had
it. Like, CCM has Tanzania on a chokehold.
So what was that insecurity about?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm actually deeply thinking about that, and it's something I'm intending on just trying to understand. But yeah, it doesn't make sense why she would have needed to. She had shown that she was going to do this. But to the extent at which she ended up doing it, it makes no sense. I mean, even you saw the podcast where Kina Kibe said that Kibe was arrested.
Yes.
Using the Gen Z
and they have a vitriol. Apparently now they have a vitriol for Kenyans. They don't fuck with us.
Crazy. The ability of politicians to hoodwink people.
But the Tanzania thing remains from the outside looking in right now. It's hard to tell where they're at, and things seem to have just continued. What about why are there not? Why is there no talk of The Hague and things like that? If what was perpetrated is as presented by one side of the narrative, because if it's true, that is beyond something that we've ever seen on this side of the world, especially. So why is there no talk of anything like that?
Well, I think also because thinking about the repercussions, first of all, it's not like the people who have been trying to seek justice have stopped, trying to seek out, to to seek out getting Suluhu into the Hague. That for sure. And then number one, it's not an instant coffee process. It doesn't happen by tomorrow that you'll end up on the Hague. That it's a very long process. I think if we should check probably like how long did it take between 2007 violence to the point where the Ocampo, is it the Ocampo 6?
Yes, about 6 years for them to actually
it's a long process. By the time Omar al-Bashir was being put ICC, same thing. Who else? Charles Taylor, like a lot of the guys. It takes a while for that process to be able to recognize now that you are ready to join the extraordinary league of international war criminals. Now, we had 2 people that entered that league and we voted them in to be president three times.
They spun it, and they spun it brilliantly.
I know.
I mean, they leveraged the whole idea that, why is the West trying to come and tell us how to run our affairs? We might as well put us in power so that we can protect ourselves. And, I mean, they built a formidable force and created a wave like never seen before.
Yeah,
think about that Jubilee wave, bro.
Hey, that Jubilee wave was crazy. It was crazy.
Kumira. Hey, you famously mentioned how you're talking about how these things, like you're giving Larry his flowers and how it will be studied. I think Jubilee wave.
I agree. That's the Cambridge Analytica stuff they did. I mean, and in fact, these guys, one thing people don't realize is that campaign was even like an early innovator in politics. You know that? In the sense that they were one of the first people to hire Cambridge Analytica way before they even became Cambridge Analytica. Back then, they used to be called Strategic Consulting. This used to be called SCL. Yeah, and SCL back then, let me just see, SCL Cambridge Analytica. Yeah, they used to be called SCL Strategic Consulting what?
Consortium.
No, yeah, Strategic Communication Laboratories.
And who?
That's what they used to be called. And I remember at the time looking into SCL because I had heard about what was going on.
As it was happening? Or
no, later during the Trump campaign, during the Brexit campaign, I started hearing about this strange type of micro-targeting that the Leave campaign is using to carry out their thing. So I hear about this company called SCL, Strategic Communication Laboratories, right? And that there's this weird subsidiary they have called Cambridge Analytica. This is back in 2015. So I go into the website of SCL, and who do I see is on the front page of SCL? Uhuru Kenyatta.
A successful case study.
As a successful case study. Like they have pictures of him in rallies. Like I think if you even check, just as if you put that up even on this podcast, if you go into the web archive, because you know you have to use the web archive, right? If you go into the web archive, you'll see within that there's something called you look for SCL's website, you will find a version of that has Uhuru Kenyatta splattered all over the front page. Like these guys, that campaign is interesting in the sense of how it spanned that narrative, but even in terms of who they chose to hire.
But who in a circle? Because we're leading up to a campaign here. Actually, we're in a campaign here, and next day is an election here.
I hate that, man.
So who in the inner sanctum or inner circle is the guy who would know, like, hey, let's use a Cambridge Analytica or...
It's never been...
Would that be like the you in that circle? Like if you are, if you're in that sphere of influence, are you the guy who's now telling these guys? By the way, there's these guys. We can micro.
I mean, if I was within that ecosystem, likely I'd be the one that would be the person to fish that out. But there was probably someone who was very, very with it, right?
Who's that person? Might you know?
I don't know.
Is that an Itumbi?
I don't know. I would not assign that cleverness to Itumbi, to be honest.
The thoughts, views expressed by this.
I would not assign that cleverness to Itumbi. I'm not really sure about that.
Expound on that. Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he doesn't strike me as someone who's that clever. But the thing is, you see it even in terms of, there's always political consultants moving around, especially from the UK, that usually come in during election time. And I think what's interesting is when you look at even how Jubilee with Matiang'i is moving right now.
How are they moving?
They had Dickens and Matson, which is another type of, I don't know if they're a lobbying firm or a political consulting firm, but they had them pretty early on.
As a layman, it looks like right now they are observing the arena with one toe in the water. Like Matiang'i just keeps dipping his toe in the pool, just checking. These other guys are swimming, banner. They are playing water polo. So what are they waiting for, man? Because campaigns are not a game of catching up, banner.
Are they? It depends, because if you think about one thing people always say is that you have to consider what happened in 2002. Yes, there was this big wave towards getting Moi out, but the wave was only confirmed like 6 months before the election when Kina Raila left.
But different temperatures, Bana.
Yeah, of course.
Different time. 24 years hangover.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Yeah. Kabisa.
Do you remember how you felt?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, in fact, how I felt when?
When in this last dispensation when Uhuru would even stand to give a speech, whether good or bad, 10 years, we're tired, man. You guys sing your face for 10 years, like 24 years. Hey, guys are like, boss. Even in my young teenage, we're about the same age. I was in class 6. 10 Ogopa DJs had just removed one of their CDs. And I remember that wave of, unbogable, bounce, banner. Bounce, banner. All we've had growing up is lamentations about you and your government. Even at 12, the rhetoric was bounce. So I remember feeling that same vibe with Kenyatta towards the end. I was just tired of seeing 10 years. It felt like it's been too long.
But it was crazy. I mean, that first regime was mad. These guys looted. They looted like a madhouse.
Talk about it.
I mean, we have this project called WikiLeaks. Huh? I'll send it to you, where we've basically counted, the amount of corruption scandals that have been there across.
Can you put a link up on the screen?
Yeah, for sure. I'll send it to you. Where we've counted the amount of corruption scandals between, actually since Moi's time, all the way until Uhuru's time, we had to do the Ruto side of it. We usually do that project with African Censored. And when you look at the sheer amount of money that was stolen.
How much?
Like, we can check. Yeah, but also one other indicator that's very important is the amount of debt that we've accrued. Yeah. Since Uhuru got into power. Again,
and the debt,
same thing. It's insane.
And the debt and the theft are cousins, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. The debt and the theft. I mean, there's a Eurobond that still until today, nobody knows where that money went.
Come on, they said recurrent expenditure.
Yani, until today, guys do not even know where that money went, Bana. So for me, it's I'm trying to find WikiLeaks because I need to show you this. So the key thing is that when you look at it, the amount of looting. I mean, guys tend to forget we had a fuel shortage.
Yeah, but did that last? I remember something.
That it doesn't matter whether it lasted. Dude, do you remember how crazy life was at that time? Right? Like people waking up at 4 a.m. to look for
driving around. Man.
Yeah, driving around looking for Nini. It was crazy. Crazy.
Give me a figure.
I'm trying to get you the figure. So this is the project actually. Let's see if we can actually find it.
But when you guys do such things like WikiLeaks, what's in it for you? Because there must be an angle. Because you can't.
It's good journalism.
Is it? You're just a noble statesman.
I mean, for real,
we're trying to help the masses.
Imagine for real. It's also in general. I mean, again, the thing is, we have to understand with this kind of work is that finding good stories does get you a lot further. Yeah, and this is one of those things that's actually just a good story. So if you look at it this way, right? So according to this data,
send this to the producer. He'll also put it on the screen as we are.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing here is 38 scandals during the Kibaki regime. 136. Come on, are you telling me those?
Yep.
100 more scandals during Uhuru's tenure.
Keep scrolling.
Than Kibaki.
Keep scrolling.
19 scandals during the Moi regime. I'd have thought more.
Because of course, also because of the nature of the data that we were collecting. But look at the amount.
So in the Moi regime, according to WikiLeaks, the thoughts, views expressed by this podcast, as well as its host, are for entertainment purposes only. 109 billion in the Moi regime. 88.6 billion Kibaki regime. Get out of here.
Go down.
644 billion. $6 billion.
Yep.
Wiped out.
Wiped out.
Now, are these things happening beknownst to the guy at the helm, or because I've famously said, you know my story, recovering alcoholic. There's only so much you can be on top of, bro, when you're drinking. Like, even if I had handlers, so I managed to finish a few things. I got through school, delayed. Everything was staggered, because of course, the nature of addiction. So is it that guys are just pilfering under this guy's nose? Ama it was ordered pilfering?
You know, you can't really assign or say. I think it was just open season.
Yeah, because a guy is lit.
That's open.
A guy is lit. A guy is lit.
No, remember, I mean, there are guys who like to call it, or rather, what like guys to call that this is an enterprise, right? Corruption is an enterprise. And that, yeah, to some extent, it is in fact, John Gidongo likes to call it the biggest business activity in this country is corruption. Yeah.
It's a very fair assessment.
Yeah,
when he said it in Kibaki's tenure, it was foreign because of the hopes that people held with the new regime. And I remember people didn't want to really accept that corruption was happening, especially on a grand scale in
grand corruption, in
Kibaki's era. But some of the verbiage used by John now is so,
it's like,
mainstream.
It's very mainstream, and I mean, praise to him, right? In terms of being the person that really saw this rot happening and was like, man, I can't take this anymore. Like, this is not what we came in to do, right? I mean, if you think about something like Anglo leasing, there's a whole bunch of crazy contracts that Kinamoi had signed. Yeah, these guys check in and they're like, are we supposed to stop? We let it continue, let it continue. And they continue. Yeah, if you put it in the simplest of terms, they check in, they find this mess, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't. Let's just continue. Let's actually just leave them as they are. And you end up with the kind of amounts that ended up getting stolen, which are very crazy, right? So I think that whole perspective of, number one, us thinking of governance primarily as it's our turn to eat, okay? Which is why you have this whole thing of our community must have ministers present, cabinet secretaries present in the government because it will be good for our community, because it is our chance to
And it's so
eat.
sad that on a lower scale level of society, our turn is in the psyche. It's not even a tangible thing. It's not that your pocket is going to have more money, but the idea that my tribesman has more somehow makes me feel better and gives me some bragging rights of sorts.
And I mean, even when we think about tribalism, you think that tribalism is something we're going to defeat when it is that functionally ingrained within our psyche.
What about corruption?
That's what I mean. Like, tribalism and corruption go hand in hand. It's our turn to eat.
Yeah.
You get, and that one of the functions of tribalism is to enable corruption, right? That it is now Kale's turn in power, that they are the ones that are going to have money. It is now Luo's turn, or it is now Kikuyu's turn, and that when they get into power, they are the ones that are going to have the money, right? And like that, you think we're going to defeat tribalism if that kind of function is going to exist alongside corruption? It's going to be very hard to defeat this thing in our lifetime if that's how we think about what governing this country means. You get?
And I'll add some sauce to that, in that even the system itself, the idea of a government and an opposition in itself has been corrupted, where you find opposition being bought. And so how do you fight a system like that? If both sides, for this one to exist, it has corrupted this side, and they have some nice symbiotic relationship. So is the purge or the idea of even fighting, is that a real thing, or just
fighting corruption?
To Sahar your story,
I don't even know, man. And I need to understand what is actually going to take for us to reset, from this kind of thing, because we would have thought that a new constitution would have enabled us to deal with this problem better.
Institutions,
devolution. Instead, we end up with devolving corruption times 47. Like, I mean, the conversations that are happening right now around Northeastern, you've seen them.
How they've pilfered all the money.
Yeah, like how they're like, you guys have received this much amount of money in the past since devolution happened, and look at your counties, and then you're busy sending our kids. And like, it was such problematic discourse, because again, we don't want to bring out that, like, we want people to be able to go and settle anywhere. I do believe fundamentally that it's true, but also on the other side, things can be true. Two things can be true at the same time, right?
You've done nothing.
Which is that, God damn, like the conversation again, which is that, we should be thinking about, like, people should be able to go to school within their locales. Yeah. And it's like a serious thing. And what have you guys actually done with the money that you've received through devolution?
You guys have built high-rise buildings in Nairobi.
Neither confirm nor deny. We don't know who the owners of those buildings are. But I mean, if you would guess, your guess is as good as mine, right? It is concerning. It is concerning. And there's a lot of questions we need to raise. It's just that, again, you come back to the harm that tribalism has done in this country and how to balance that conversation and have it in a nuanced way that allows both sides to be true. Yeah? Because I usually tell people the worst fights are the ones where both sides are right. Because there's no room for compromise here. And I'm like, wow, that conversation at the beginning of the year was quite something. Yeah, I think it was quite something. I think nobody had ever thought about it. That the first time I heard him say it at a church, I was like, my God, this guy has gone. He's gone full retard. I don't know if you watched that movie. Yeah, but that one. I was like, he's gone full retard.
We never go full retard.
Yeah, you never go full retard. I was like, you never go full retard. This guy has touched something that is sacred. Then the next day, this guy came and doubled down. And I was like, come on, man. And then everyone started talking about, I was like, no, I'm not. But like, for me, it's too sensitive. I was even like, I'm checking out. Yeah.
Well, switching gears, elections. Are elections a real thing in Kenya? And what I mean by real thing is this. Is it a theater where perception reigns supreme?
Number one, there's a guest I would love to help you bring on this podcast. He's called Mule Musau. He runs something called Elections Observation Group. Yeah, he's an amazing guy in terms of talking about elections, the intricacies of election, and then the peculiar thing that is the African election. Yeah, because the African election in general, in any country. One thing people will tell is that democracy is very alive and well in Africa because there are very few, actually across the different continents. There's a lot of elections that are held in this continent, by the way, on a yearly basis. I think by the end of this year, we're likely to have 12 elections in African countries this year. Yeah, you just fact check me on that, but you can put the correct number on the screen. Yeah, so like there's nowhere where democracy
it's permeating that well.
Is alive and well. Yeah. And one of the things I usually tell people is that's one of the things you have to consider with the death of USAID. Yeah. Some of those things, the reason we have that many amounts of elections across Africa was largely a function of the donor money that used to come through that channel, right? They were a big supporter of elections across different countries across the continent. That being said, I used to work, part of one of my previous roles used to be that I used to work at the Mozilla Foundation. I was the senior researcher for elections. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I was the senior researcher for elections and election integrity. And one of the weird things is I always say, just the same question you've asked. Like Kenya so I got a chance to, first of all, look at different elections across the world, not just like I got a chance to actually do research on India's election. Got a chance to do research on Brazil's election. One of my biggest stories that I've done for The Guardian is actually Brazil's election. Like I covered that.
What interesting things came out of Brazil, India? I'm curious, especially India, because that's such a large scale.
Yeah, so India runs the largest democratic exercise in the world. Yeah?
In a real sense.
In a real sense, okay. Like if you look at the machinery it takes to actually get get votes coming out of India. I think the election process does not run in one day. I think it is let me just check. I think it's around 4, if I'm not wrong, it's either 4 days or a month. How long do India's elections
And
take?
the outcome is a real representation of the will of the people.
Yes, you know the thing is the will of the people is not necessarily usually what those of us who are progressives, right? They like to think is the right thing, but yeah, they have a very effective election process. So theirs actually typically takes 6 to 7 weeks because of how big it is.
Almost a billion guys.
Yeah. I mean, Americans also, they tend to vote for very long. These are some of the things that perhaps we should want to consider, because those things enable you to get out the vote a lot more, right? Because, and such countries sometimes typically won't have you get a leave day. Like you see in Kenya. Also, Kenya is very progressive in that sense. That day, of the election, you get a day off and you're able to actually like go and vote and all of that kind of stuff. And there's that encouragement. In some countries where they don't give off that day, they allow you to vote for a very long time. But you see also that 1 day voting thing in Kenya is also a function of trust. Okay? In Kenya, you don't want the idea. Imagine if you allowed this country to have elections for a month.
Hey. Nani ameshinda, then nani ameshinda.
Yeah.
But do we
by the next day, from after day one, people will be calling themselves the winner.
But do you, in your estimation, and this question comes from a very real place, is our elections real? Like real? And real, I mean this. I've always felt like, and perhaps a bit of my conspiracy hat, that it's more about plausibility. Make it look plausible that you could have won, and then now from there, cheza kama wewe. So historically, we always tend to have two main horses at the forefront, right? Now, the idea is that the public will take an either or. Like think about the last election. Whomever could have won and been announced without the country necessarily burning, because it looked plausible either way. So is that the person who won or the person who is said to have won, is that real, or they just did a better job at the finesse?
So again, I would love for you to invite Mule. He'll give you, I think, the most concrete answer about, because his job is at studying our election infrastructure to like very finesse, so extremely minute and finite details.
What's your guess?
What I want to say is my pushback is this. In the sense that I used to study the information environment that accompanies elections, because that is part and parcel of how elections get delivered. Yeah. One of the weird things that I studied was that Kenya is one of the few countries where, for almost, let's say since 2007, you can easily say that half of the country does not believe that that there have been real elections, right, within the country. Like the main challenge that IEBC has, even before they've even been able to get the vote out, the biggest challenge that they have and the biggest job that they're supposed to have is trust. That's the only thing, right? That's the only thing, like the main job to be done when it comes to how that commission is set up is always trust. And that 90% of the time, anything that happens tends to interfere with that. And so we will consistently, even if I am able to tell you something that I think is truly fact, and even if you bring the guy who I'm telling you, the extreme elections expert, he'll give you like every single thing about what the fact is. Half of the people watching this podcast will not believe it. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. So to some extent, Kenya was already in a post-truth world way before a lot of other countries, right? Because consistently for the very longest time, no matter what you do, no matter what the facts are, right, there's a political machinery that is invested in making sure that nobody believes what the outcome is, because that is a political strategy. And that's the side that most people tend to actually ignore, right? Ignoring, like, yes, the facts are the facts, right? Whether there's rigging or not, right? Whether the machinery is robust enough or not, whether the institutions certify whatever happens or not, half of the population will not agree with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's interesting now when you begin to see what perhaps I always say Kenya is a pioneer of some of these things. Now when you see a Trump now coming to the US.
Stolen
right?
elections.
And it's like, even when he's won, he's like, they still stole it. You know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of the weird things nobody's talking about is how America is preparing for electoral violence this year during their midterms.
The war drums are being...
Yeah. I was like, wow, you guys sound like a third world country. I sit down and listen to these guys. I'm like, wow, you guys sound like a third world country. It's very, very interesting to just think about the ways in which our experiences as Kenyans are, foreshadow a lot of what other countries go through way, way, way ahead of time. Again, coming back to even what I told you, Jubilee hiring Cambridge Analytica way ahead of time.
That was futuristic.
Very, yeah. I mean, again, the fact that we as a country have just, again, I think that our election problem is a belief problem. It's not even an infrastructure problem.
But
we could even get the best voting machines. Yeah, there's this one's called Dominion voting machines. The ones where the other countries, but this country is funny. It's one of those few countries where, and I usually tell people, we take a week to certify, verify, and have results while we have a choir sing for us. Yeah, the whole time.
yes. At Bomas.
Yeah. But in many countries, by the way, like in Brazil, by the time the day is over, yeah, because they have voting machines, by the time the day is over, by then they know who the president is. Story kwisha, right? And they're able to finish, results are certified by the next day. Story kwisha, like they already know who the president is.
Do you exercise your right to vote here?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, before my father died, it was the thing that we used to do together. That was one of our primary bonding points. At least every 5 years, you
get to go vote.
We would go and vote together.
Are you worried about this next cycle, or what are you thinking? What are your thoughts around it?
So, this next cycle, I think 2 years is a long time. Yeah, we're still in January.
August next year.
Well, 1.5 years.
Hey, bro, that'll fly by. We'll blink and it's time.
But I think there are some factors that we have to consider. We have an AFCON in the middle, and I know maybe guys might look at me and say, no, what is he talking about there? But I'm like, do you guys realize what AFCON is?
These guys are going to leverage it.
Number one, they're going to leverage it, but it's also going to do a lot more for our psyche as a nation. Like, wageni watakuwa. Have you seen that this country shaped up just because of a 20-year-old boy that was driving around Nairobi?
Yeah. Shout out Aisho Speed.
What do you mean crowds can show up in the CBD and not get tear gassed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, let me tell you, you cannot have that kind of crowd in the CBD moving around without tear gas. Even if 10 people show up, yeah, in the CBD, they'll be tear gassed. I remember there was a time the cops tear gassed like Paralympics athletes that were protesting. And it was, the dark humor is, like seeing a guy on a wheelchair.
The thoughts, views expressed by
and I was like, God damn, like these guys like have a heart. Oh, and like Naruto tear gassed kids in like Langata Primary.
Yeah.
That was crazy, right? Like I remember the vivid images of seeing like the kids being chappered with tear gas and then Kinabunia just running with them, right? And I was like, damn, So I was like, where was that cruelty? And I'm not asking for it, but like, you mean we can shape up?
So do you think AFCON,
you mean we can do crowd control?
If I was in power, I would leverage it I'd capture that psyche of the morale from hosting AFCON and use it as my sail to winning the election.
Absolutely. It's the perfect chance at sports washing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's perfect.
We saw it with Chan. They did a dry run with Chan.
The dry run was Chan.
Yeah.
The dry run was Chan. I think the dry run is also Aisho Speed. Yeah, it's the same thing. All those things are the same thing. Because they're all forms of reputation laundering. Yeah, it's a very cheap way of legitimizing yourself. Yeah, you don't need to do reform. You don't need to do good policy. Let them eat cake.
Do you think Aisho Speed needs to fine-tune his political awareness in terms of his team? Because that guy has looked like he was just
he needs to.
No idea.
Because he didn't realize he was being used.
He has no idea.
He did not realize he was being used.
Who's his team? This guy is 600. He's with Kick. I think he signed $600 million deal. How is he
happy for him?
How is he not? Why is there not a team?
But first of all, I get worried about people like Aisho Speed doing gambling adverts, because number one, his primary audience is not adults. Yeah. His primary audience is teenagers.
And younger.
That's very scary.
Even preteens.
Preteens. And he started off as a preteen. Yeah. Number one, if you look at the people that were mostly going to him, people are bringing their children to him. I always say that was like watching. It was like, I always say it was.
You're
like
making Byron feel bad. Byron was there, man.
He chased. if for me, it's easier when I meet a Odanga, I'm like, ulienda speed. Like, bana nilienda lakini sikupata 10K kama ule jamaa. I'm like, yeah. But he needs to fine tune his political awareness. I was just like, that was you understand that this was a strategy because now you see even what happened, what came out in the news on Monday, which is that the government has put aside a fund for about 100 million shillings just to have influencers talk about the government's programs and all that kind of stuff, right?
I've never heard about that. I've
came
never
out
heard
on
about that.
ever
heard about that?
It's on like literally on the news. But you see, the thing is, it's very. Why is it that is coming out barely 1 week after the Aishu Speed case? Because they saw the potential of what's achievable with that kind of work.
But I feel like 100 million shillings is kidogo bana.
First of all, yote itakulwa.
Yeah.
But like 80% of it itakulwa.
100 million is...
How much of it will actually get to the creators? I highly doubt
100 million is disrespectful. Like 100 million is kidogo, man.
Yeah, but they got speed for free.
Yeah, true.
But they got speed for free. We don't know, right? But likely they got speed for free.
But narratives are told of a lot of our political leaders or even presidents being owned by Western interests. How influential are foreign interests on our elections?
Oh, that's interesting. How influential are foreign interests on our elections? Well, number one, the truth is, when all you have to do is just look at who funds IEBC's budget.
Who funds IEBC's budget?
Just look at who funds IEBC's budget. That's what I'll tell you.
Is it George Soros?
And you will be able to tell everything that you'll be able to tell. But
Byron, I'll ask you to put a small article there of research on who funds.
Yeah. I mean,
please do share. Why you scared to say?
I mean, the thing is because I have
BlackRock. Is it BlackRock who funds IEBC?
I mean, I'll give you one example that is very interesting to think about. The Republican Party, if I'm not wrong, yeah, and let me just fact check myself on this, yeah. But when WikiLeaks, there was a WikiLeaks dump that came out some time back, and it was one of the most interesting things, right, that I ever found, which was that Republican Party ODM. I want to just confirm this. This was in WikiLeaks.
So the Republican Party used to fund ODM or funds ODM?
No, yeah. There was a funny, dossier spills beans on ODM's dirty campaign. Hey, that's a very, very pointed headline. Wow.
So the money was coming from the Republican
Let's see.
Party.
The latest documents leaked by anti-secrecy WikiLeaks has given some insight into the dirty world of political propaganda. As some of the documents released on Sunday lay bare the strategies that were used by ODM in the run-up to the 2007 polls. A section of the documents reveals that ODM officials alienated the party's strengths and weaknesses and opportunities with the aim of making calculated mudslinging attacks. To continue reading, please subscribe for free access.
So is that
but then there was, I'm just trying to find it.
A narrative is told of, in terms of the two divides that exist currently. Of course, we have the president.
But I'll find it because we need to be very proper with our facts.
No, we don't need to be so proper.
You have to be good with your facts, man.
We have a disclaimer at the beginning of the show, man.
Disclaimers aside, in my professional life, I prefer to be, but let me find it. I'll find it and I'll share it with you. But I mean, there are very many. Kenya is a big country, especially now when you think that Tanzania has gone to shit, right? Politically, at least. Kenya is a very important country to a lot of people. And so you find that there's a lot of interest that will focus on actually putting money into our elections. And
so the narrative that's out there, you hear people saying is that the current guy is really trying to cozy up to certain interests. However,
which is true.
However, across the divide, the machine behind the would-be opposition, which is assumed to be Kenyatta family, is more of a darling because of that aristocratic kind of history, where he's more refined. That's the narrative that's told out there. Is that in any way?
No, I think that's. Let me tell you one thing about these people. They work with who they work with. These people have worked with the worst of dictators in the world, the most illiterate dictators in the world, right? That whole thing of refinement doesn't matter. What matters is extractivism.
Are you saying the
Right.
guy for Equatorial Guinea is not a genius?
Exactly. Like think of what matters is extraction, and and if you block extraction, right, then any narrative can be spun about you. You're not that refined. You're not. What is it? Oh, suddenly, you are. Suddenly, you are an incredibly corrupt leader or all that kind of stuff, right? They will work with anybody. They have worked with the worst. They have worked with the scum of the earth for a very long time, right?
I think the way
They will work with this scum that we have right now. And I mean, so long as their interests are taken care of,
which scam do you speak of? Just to be clear.
whichever scam that we have, it is, whichever scam that it is that we have right now, they will work with it. Yeah. And
I mean, DRC has proved that.
Man.
Equatorial Guinea, man. Provided,
Yeah.
like you said, extraction is the game.
Extraction is the game. Extraction is the game. What I'll tell you is that, think about it this way. What colonialism was an extraction enterprise. We decided to make a country out of that. We've never really done that work of understanding what does it take for us to form a country. Like we keep, that's another one of the tensions we have, right? That we like a lot of if you were to tell another story of what we're supposed to think about this country as, and a lot of the strife that we have, like in terms of the soul of this country, is that the country is trying to give birth to itself.
So you say we don't really have an identity per se.
Yeah, because what we had was an extraction enterprise, right? Everything, think about it, even our infrastructure, the way it is structured is largely still based off of the imagination of a colonial overlord. It is that the railway was supposed to get to a certain point in the country to ship goods out of it. You get?
But isn't
the roads were directed in a certain way to be able to enable colonialism to function in the way that it does. I usually say that even to some extent, if we wanted to reimagine this country, think of things like the Lapset project, yeah? That at some point there was a vision to even take Isiolo, move the capital to Isiolo. Like there's that aspect of reimagination of the country that, we've largely failed to do.
But
and many guys don't realize that.
Isn't this capitalism pro Marx? Like that's just continuing itself.
See, that's what colonialism was, capitalism pro Marx.
Yeah.
Most of those guys, it was the British East Africa Corporation.
Yes.
Yeah. The idea, the very idea of the corporation was a function of colonialism, that these guys needed to go, like if you look at the story of the stock market, yeah, like how exactly it gets formed by the Dutch is because they needed money from people within the populace to be able to go ahead and pay these merchants, right? And give these merchants money to be able to sail across the world, pillage, get goods and bring them back to the country. That's the Dutch East India Company. That's exactly how it gets formed, and that's how we eventually end up coming up with the idea of the stock market. Like literally that's what the primary need was, yeah? And so we find this enterprise, yeah, called Kenya, which is a settler's haven, right? And then we decide, let's make a country out of it. And if you think about our problems in that way, you begin to understand how a lot of our issues stem also from a lack of imagination of our elites.
But aren't most endeavors, however big or small, capitalistic interest at heart? Well, I mean, isn't that the aim of most of humanity?
I'm a capitalist. I also am a big fan of capitalism. I don't mind a bit of capitalism myself.
So are you a proponent of, like, I've heard people say fair or equitable capitalism? Is there such a thing?
I don't know. I've not thought that deeply about the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Right? But what I just, like, the farthest I've gone in terms of this thinking is number one, that we found an extraction enterprise, decided to turn it into a country, and that the history of those ones I saw, and I don't want to be that kind of guy. I don't want to be one of the guys that thinks about it this way. But there was someone who once told me something interesting. They were like, if you understand the history of the corporation, is that even the reason a lot of corporations, especially in a global level, have a ceiling for black people is because it was not made for you. The global corporation was made to ensure that a lot of ex-colonial officers had a soft landing.
That's,
If they were not being put in embassies, right? They were just given a soft landing by being put in a.
Now, philosophically, as a capitalist, isn't it then? At some point, isn't there an inflection point for one where you realize that you are either, I think I told you this off camera, a sheep or a wolf? Where
I remember,
when you're brushing,
you love that analogy.
yeah,
man.
one day when you're
This is
brushing,
your gospel according to Eric.
yes,
Mutiso.
because one day when you're brushing your teeth, I think that's what, some of the times we have our realest moments, and you look in the mirror brushing your teeth, you decide that, you know what, I can't save humanity. I might as well benefit from humanity in my own way and use my smarts and position to gain as much capital as possible. Isn't that how the system self-replicates?
Yeah, but to some extent, it can only go so far. There's also that. It can only go so far, and you see it all the time, in the sense that there's a way in which this world is going. Even when you look at things like the AI race, but there are multiple examples where you can clearly see that. Where you can clearly see that this race has a cliff, and that the way we are carrying out this ecosystem is not sustainable, right? And you clearly see it. That's the best I can tell you, that there's a cliff to how people are running this thing. And a lot of people can see it and keep trying to warn us about it.
So it implodes eventually.
That's why we end up with war, right? That, like, literally, because again, this thing can only sustain itself so much, right? You can't keep pillaging our resources in the way that people want to pillage them. You'll end up destroying ecosystems. Ecosystems have been destroyed, right? So there should be a way in which we think about this thing in a way that we should be able to not necessarily eat the whole thing.
What has held off a revolution, you think?
In Kenya, tribalism. In Kenya, it's tribalism, clear. Yeah, and that is the one thing that has held off. There are two things I could say, depending on what kind of revolution you're talking about. Yeah,
just a system shaking.
Because how do you want to think about 2007?
Gen Z.
Yeah, and then there's Gen Z. Gen Z perhaps was one of the things where people said might have almost, depending on who you ask, right, might have almost truly been a revolution, right? But then again, look at what happens immediately after. The very concerted effort by the entire political class.
Guys shikana across the divide.
And I think, in fact, and not even just at shikana, literally. I think it was just like all of them saying, we have to stop this thing, right? That idea that we can be
removed.
We can be removed, or even just think beyond tribe. Because, first of all, guys don't realize what happened in June, okay? 27 counties had protests. Yeah, like those protests were all over. It was Eldoret. It was happening in Mombasa.
Northeastern.
Like everywhere. Like if you count the number of places where protests were happening simultaneously at the same time, when they raided Sudi's club and ran off with the Hennessy and all that kind of stuff. And the sheer efforts to try and bring people back, like the magnanimous effort that they've taken to try and just bring us back to default settings. If I was to give a theory of what keeps us from, system shift and all of that, tribalism.
And where did all this steam go? Is it fatigue? Was there fatigue? Because where did that steam go? That steam was hot, and right now as we speak today, I either it's maybe the corner of the internet I live, but also the rhetoric. I work with people. I work with a lot of Gen Zs, and I work with a lot of younger people. That steam is not there. That steam that was there 2 years ago, 2024.
2024.
Yeah, where is
2024.
it?
2024. Yeah.
How have they been able to? I find that also will be studied. Like how they're able to just temper down the country.
Well, there's a lot of. So I will speak as someone who maybe thinks about protest, like the nature of protest and all that kind of stuff. That you first of all have to understand. Again, instant coffee results do not exist in politics, which is why you can't say Sulu will go to The Hague tomorrow. Yeah, but she might eventually, right? If Museveni perhaps doesn't die or is not deposed soon enough, again, he likely can end up. But it's a long process. It's the same thing. Movements are not instant coffee. Yeah, just because it has tapered down, right, does not mean that that movement or that ideology is not dead. I think that whatever the group that calls itself Gen Z is, it just takes time, right? And that they will be able to eventually achieve their goals with time. Like, it just takes time. It's not something that they can achieve in a day, right? And one of the things that people have to understand is that in this specific dispensation is that the internet-enabled movement and protest movement, how people need to understand it is that how it starts is with protest, right? Then it perhaps could end up with the kind of political reform or whatever that it's looking for. But it starts off as a flash in the pan, right? And then it's the work of the people who are within those specific movements to develop political demands around that. But a lot of the time, sometimes a lot of protest also fails. People don't realize that. A lot of protest also fails because people fail to realize that the job to be done is coalesce around that and create political movements,
Not protest for protest sake.
bring people into leadership, like reach that level, which a lot of people are demanding of Gen Z. Find leaders, right? Join political parties, right? Develop ideology, start really thinking about the issues that are truly affecting you, lobby against them, like figure out the process by which you actually end up, because you've proved that you want a seat at the table. You get. But there was something someone told me, is that the opposite actually used to be true for different types of movements, which was that what you would see as a protest it would happen at the end. The protest was as a result of the movement building, right? Not the start of the movement building. So there's that difference in nature. And so I wouldn't write them off just yet. But also they need to understand that momentum is a perishable good. Yeah, that it is not going to just be sustained, right? Like, you have to find different things to keep it alive. And that's why speed worried me a lot, because I don't think people realize that the same forces that put people on the streets in June 2024, right? The same mechanics, an internet-enabled mass movement of people, right? Not a movement in the ideological sense, but an internet-enabled mass getting out of the people in a spontaneous fashion that literally is moving across the city for thousands of people. That's basically what happened.
Even he was surprised. He said it. He said,
Yeah.
I saw him in one of the clips, maybe we put it up. He's like, Kenya is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't believe
He couldn't.
just how many people had come
He
out.
couldn't.
How was Kenya, bro? So y'all asking me how was Kenya, but Kenya was one of the best streams. Kenya was amazing. Now, Kenya was actually amazing. Sincerely.
And that's the key thing. But the guys don't realize that those are the same forces that brought people out to the streets in 2024. Right? Those two mechanics are actually the same thing. Yeah. And what I think concerned me was that the second mechanic, which is why, remember, we were talking about how is it that the police now do crowd control? How is it the police suddenly are not tear gassing people? And I mean, that's the thing. It's that the second one, what we saw 2 weeks ago, was with Ruto's permission. You get that?
I don't think
and
those
I keep telling people that never underestimate
That's an
the
interesting
fact.
angle,
Never underestimate the fact that, and why I say momentum is a perishable good. Never underestimate the fact that power has powerful tools. Power has powerful tools. Imagine, never would have thought in my life that as a president, you have an ISO speed you can dangle.
and it was sanctioned, you're right.
Yeah, it was sanctioned.
These guys were allowed to just wild out.
Yeah.
We saw that during Chan.
And yeah, exactly. You have an AFCON, you have a Chan, like you've got things you can just dangle.
Watch these guys release kidogo.
Let them release a bit. Wasikuwe na pressure nyingi.
But I want to talk about something else. You are in an Ivy League school. Harvard. Talk about Harvard. How is it? How has that experience been for you, man? Because these are things people dream about. These are things. I mean, we've been hearing about Harvard since the moment we were cognitive. How is Harvard, man?
I mean, so I'm doing a fellowship, and if you want, I can definitely hook you up with people who are now in like the proper, what is it called? Like doing the masters and all that. But my job is I'm a research fellow. So my job is to actually carry out research, which I have a thesis that I'm doing and like identify, and then also contribute to academic life within the campus, right? But I will say that even just being on campus itself is it's one of the best experiences that I have seen. Like you can definitely see why people call it what it is, right? Like they do have an exceptional job of making sure that the best stuff is actually like the best things in the world are happening there. The best brains in the world. Like you'll be shocked at who you hear is a professor, at the place, and you're just like the other day I had that show, the Ancestry show. The one where they were telling Lupita she's from I don't know.
Yeah.
That guy is a professor at Harvard.
Wow.
You know, like it's crazy how you realize it's not every day that you get a chance to just, Nancy Pelosi is somewhere in the building, or I don't know, John Bolton. Like it's really, really crazy in terms of the people they bring. And then even the thinking around it, the kinds of sessions that you're able to have, the kinds of sessions that you're able to host, the understanding of platform. I mean, it's amazing. It's really,
you talked
really,
about
really amazing.
High function. I remember you were talking about how there's a lot of high functioning people on a different level than you've seen before.
People work there, Bana. People are so focused. It's an interesting culture. I must say it's a different culture. It's I would vote like anybody who thinks that they should go for it. Like just go for it. It's an amazing process.
How long is the program?
Mine is 1 year.
How long has it been?
One academic year. It's been now we're halfway.
Okay.
So it ends in May. Yeah. So I'm in and out, but I'm really, really like the process, the people who I work with and all that, because I'm faculty. And the people who I work with there, it's just, it's an amazing experience, I must say.
Do we have anything close on our continent? Is there anything that comes?
I don't know. You know, I've never been an academic per se. I think what's interesting is how everybody tries to measure up to that standard, right? But you see, the thing is, you can't beat that. Like what they don't realize is the brand is crazy. Yeah, the way they've created that name, and it's like when you work with them, it's like we are bestowing this thing upon you. You need to make sure that you do well by it. So I think in terms of catching up to that name, I don't know, right? But there's still amazing universities here. Me myself, I'm a public university graduate. I was in JKUAT.
How was JKUAT?
Maybe the people who are watching this podcast and know me from my JKUAT days, those were wild days. So, I mean, I will say that, I'm still appreciative of the fact, especially when you come from Strath, you know, like you do the whole James Kishu Road schooling thing. The grounding that it offers you is very important. Just being able to be in a public schooling system. And that's why I think for me, I'm so, like, I do want to start paying attention to our education system. Because I'm like, public school needs to work. It needs to work. This country, if you want to understand the point at which this country will break, we'll probably start off by looking at what's happening with our education right now. Yeah. The systematic defunding and destruction of our education system, man, we
That's
need to
worrying.
It is worrying. Especially because you need to go to public school, Bana. You really need to, like, it's important. It's just important to use public systems. I do believe, like, for real, if you could go to a public hospital, you know, like experience what public service means.
But interesting.
Yeah. So like, I feel like that is such an important thing, and that the death of that is such a bad thing. You know, like the fact that even many of us who want to advocate for better governance or whatever are checked out from the system. Think about the number of guys even right now who are sending their kids to IGCSE because CBC is crap. And I usually say, no offense to the IGCSE guys, but IGCSE was not 844. It had nowhere near the same amount of rigor, nowhere near the same amount of grounding, nowhere near the same amount of local context. You know, like they don't get taught Kiswahili in the same way that...
we had a clip go viral where we touched on that. We talked about how the 844, the grit that it instills in you. And when you look at, again, similar like to what you said, no harm, no foul to you guys. But when you look at successful people in our context,
844.
It's not IG guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's
Not
844.
guys for Bremen. But
Brookhouse,
yeah,
CG,
so there's a grit that you cannot.
No, and it's that thoroughness. Let me tell you, even in general, when you look at this Kenyan exceptionalism, yeah, we like to think that we are the shit. That comes from 844. It's because, like, to be honest, I meet a lot of guys who ask me that, like, where did you go to school? I'm like, I just went to school in Kenya. I've never schooled. Like, this is the first time where I'm, like, experiencing an academic program, right? Outside of.
And
Kenya.
you're standing out, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. You get. But in essence, you can see that, right? The first time, like, that's my first time. I mean, before that, I was in the Deutsche Welle Academy as well. But even then, like, when I did that program, they were just like, wait, you've never schooled outside your country? I'm like, no, I've schooled in, like, that's where being in, like, and I was in a public university. I mean, well, though, yes, I was from a middle-class family and all that, but there are so many guys who, what I love to call village brilliance, right? That someone somewhere in Kisumu rural goes from herding cows. Like, I have friends.
A lot of our parents.
Yeah,
that's
go
the story.
from herding cows, they find themselves in Oxford. And that was a function of, like, we were proud of this system. We had our beef with it. We really had our beef with it. But we didn't ask for this kind of overhaul that we're seeing. And it's not just from primary to secondary, even at the university stage.
But
right?
you said something worrying. It's it's in, like, almost intentional sabotage of the system.
Yes.
You said systemic.
Yeah.
It's intentional.
These are very huge, like...
Is that to have, like, in simple terms, like a damn populace, or what's the end
It's
goal?
actually partly also because of our fucked up finances as a country. We can't afford it.
Damn.
We can't afford it. Like, these are, if I'm not wrong, yeah, again, I need to keep fact checking this because it's important. These are World Bank, CBC, right? These are partly because we fucked up our finances, and that's how we end up in this situation. You get. And so, yeah, the World Bank has heavily supported Kenya's transition to the competency-based curriculum. Like, so a lot of these are policy recommendations. You get. And then they're justified under the guise of parents need to spend more time with their children. We need to stop educating our children too much. They're getting out into the market and are overqualified for the market. There's not enough jobs for all these clever people our systems are producing. Can you imagine your leaders are busy telling you that? Then they go ahead and ship you off to Russia. Then you find yourself on the front lines of the Ukraine war.
I saw some videos of a guy giving a live feed of a frontline talking about how they're. I'm sure you must have seen it.
I've seen several.
Oh my God, it's so disheartening. But as we land this plane, I just wanna do like a quick 5, and I'll ask you a question about specific people, and you can use one word to describe them, or you can give us a brief description of your thoughts and views. So we'll do 5 people. All right, I'll start with, of course, I always have to do one. Donald J. Trump.
Toddler.
That's a one word for him.
Toddler.
Briefly expound.
I mean, you don't see it. I mean, let me give you the best example. In fact, it's so crazy.
Toddler.
This whole thing has been interesting for me because he's a toddler. Like when you think about the whole Nobel Prize thing, yeah?
Oh, yeah. He's been bitching and moaning about it.
He was like, I am going to bring peace to the world. He positioned himself as this messianic figure. I'm going to bring peace to the world. Peace in the Middle East. Peace in Ukraine and Russia. And then basically someone else wins it.
In Africa as well.
Yeah, and peace in Africa. Yeah.
Washington Accords.
Yeah. And then someone else wins it. And he throws this tantrum. He literally throws a tantrum. He's like, I want that. Right?
Give me my toy.
and then the Venezuelan Mercado, Mercado.
Oh, Mercado.
Yeah. Goes ahead and actually is like, because of the tantrum. And this tantrum is a serious tantrum. She gives it to him. He's like, I didn't even like it. Then he sends an email to Norway. He sends a letter to Norway saying, by the way, because you guys, I'm no longer interested in peace because you guys didn't give me that medal.
Oh my
Did
God.
you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
That's a toddler.
Fair enough.
Toddler. That's a like literally he never grew up.
Number 2,
Yeah.
Russian guy, Vladimir Putin.
Shrewd, ex-KGB. Yeah. There's something someone told me, which was that you have to understand how powerful spy chiefs are, politically even. Yeah. And like the fact that a spy chief can become a president in a country, it should scare you. Yeah. So I think, you realize, for example, that look at NIS's budget, right? Like how much they are given, 1. 2, that's when you begin to understand why surveillance makes sense. Another theory of state that you must understand, another theory of the state that you must understand is that the state, by default, is a surveillance enterprise. All these chiefs that you have, provincial administrations,
Tabs.
right?
Keeping tabs.
Yeah, like a huge function of how the state exists and functions is surveillance. Like by default is how the state exists. And when you think about it that way, then imagine the beauty that this thing
Has offered them.
and how much it makes the budget that much more efficient, right? And that's why Kenya is always signing new deals on surveillance, signing new bills on surveillance, and how to surveil people. But you can imagine how hard it used to be, right? Versus how easy it is now for them, right? And so...
So we have a toddler, we have a shrewd guy.
Yeah, shrewd. Hey, crazy.
I show speed.
Oblivious. Oblivious.
That's bang on.
Oblivious.
That's
He did
bang.
not know. Like, that guy did not know what he was. Like, I do think he, at some point, it's going to catch up to him.
His team needs to work smart
It is
enough.
coming. It is going to catch up to him. Suddenly, you'll wonder, why is Aisho Speed suddenly in Saudi Arabia? Or, a lot of places, like Salt. Remember the way Salt Bay's restaurant became the place where all the dictators in the world used to go and eat? Like Maduro would go there. Like all the crazy dictators used to go and eat at Salt Bay's restaurant, and they'd hang out alongside the rich and famous. Eventually, that stuff does catch up with you, and I think the same is going to happen to Speed. I think he does not realize the like political function that he was doing when he was here. And again, one bet that I'm very willing to make is the fact that is around the fact that look at this whole thing of the fund that they've set up around influencers. They're like, my God.
Look at all that.
Look at that. Look at what that guy was able to do. You mean this is what happened? And I remember there was one remark that Ruto did. First of all, I think guys need to realize is when the whole Gen Z thing happened, think about it. The first place he went, he was like, let's hold a round table with a lot of the big news guys and all of that kind of stuff. And yes, it went some way, but it didn't go really a long way in terms of quelling this thing. Call the church guys to State House. It doesn't go a long way. Then, what was the most transformative part of that whole season? He appeared on an X Space hosted by Osama.
Yeah, that was
That was the one. And I remember those, and 100,000 people attended that space. Right? 100,000.
and Robert Alai.
Yeah? It was also hosted by Robert Alai.
No, Robert Alai, he came and people wonder why is this guy contributing.
Oh, but you get what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But that's where now he found them. Right? And I remember there was a remark he made at the end of that thing. He was like, this thing is like a rally. That was 100,000 people. Like, he made that remark. I wonder if there's a live recording of it. But he went ahead and said, it will become a rally. He could not believe it. Yeah. So there's this thing of like learning. Again, power has powerful tools. Never underestimate the power of power to learn. You get? And power is learning.
I think they now understand the power that thing wields.
Oh, kabisa. So it'll be interesting to see.
Second last one, Prophet War.
Profit. Profit or Hey.
How is that the first time I've ever had that? Is that
You
original?
never had profit or
That's the first time I've ever had that.
I like that. Need I say more?
No. Last but not least, man. Of course, you know who I'm going to ask you.
Who?
Bill.
Bill Clinton.
No. Bill Samoy.
What do I think of him? Lucky.
Expound a bit. That one.
No, I think they, lucky. I think there's too many times this ball should have dropped. Yeah, and it's not somehow. Yeah,
Is
that's
that
what I'd
luck
say.
or that's just grit?
It depends. I mean,
And of course it's
there are
your-
people. The people who can have enough grit to be lucky. You know what luck is? Like you. I always say one of my favorite sayings is, "You work hard enough to be lucky." You can have enough grit to be lucky. The thing about luck is you can also do nothing and be lucky. So the safe word for me there is lucky. I think that makes a lot of sense for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madung, thank you so much for making time, man. Thank you so much.
Kabisa.
I
I'm
appreciate
still trying to Google this thing of the. I really need to find this thing of the WikiLeaks cable I was trying to tell you about. 'Cause
I
I think it's such an interesting thing to.
I want
try and
to have you as a repeat guest when you have more time, because you need to come for like a 2.5 hour
I
session.
knew, we need to do.
I'll-
We've not even done the conspiracy theories, man.
I would not have stopped this now.
Yeah.
Just that I have a shoot right now, and I can even hear the guys have come.
I get you. But
When do you leave?
hey, neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be back. Our boy is having a wedding, so I must.
Oh, yeah,
I must
yes,
come back.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
kabisa.
But thanks all in all for making time, man. I know you're a busy guy. I
I
appreciate it,
try
man.
my best.
I'll keep picking your brain.
I mean, let's keep exchanging. I mean, you can see the kind of weird politics stuff. We've not even talked about the goon stuff that we did.
Oh yes. No, we have to have a round 2.
Kabisa.
Yeah.
Kabisa. We've got a lot coming. So I've got a lot of releases coming out. So I'll keep sharing, and let's see when I'm back. Let's have another one.
Thank you so much, man.
Kabisa.
Thank you for making time.
Cheers.
Privilege having you on. Ladies and gentlemen, Madung, that's a wrap. If you haven't subscribed, also please join the membership. It's $1 a month. You guys have $1 a month, man. Come on, man. You get episodes early. You get exclusive episodes. Every other time with Eric, that's a wrap. Also, check out our Facebook. We have 1 subscriber. We have 1 follower right now. Let's get it to 1,000, man. We just set it up about a week ago. Thank you so much.